Well, the whole last half of yesterday, approaching, getting close to the Route 11, which would take you to Carlisle, Pennsylvania. It was just down the road. Anyway, the whole second half of the day, you know, was just this flat, kind of meandering hike, and that's very much how today is, the beginning of today, this whole first half, and then it's gonna start getting into some, you know, I think some more traditional climbing again. I can see mountains up ahead, and I think probably I'll be getting towards those midday here in a couple hours. Anyway, so yeah, it's been pretty relaxing. One of the things that I've thought a lot, I think I've mentioned this before, is, you know, whether I really need to be using my trekking poles all the time. And so yesterday, the whole second half of the day, I just folded them up, stowed them in my pack, and just hiked without them. And it wasn't really very difficult to hike without them. It worked fine, and you know, the terrain was so easy. But last night, my hands were really swollen, I think from not using them, you know, just having them swinging by my side and the whole time. And my feet were pretty sore, you know, so I kind of haven't really experimented much with this, but I sort of feel like maybe my little first test tells me that maybe I need my trekking poles a little more than I thought. So I'm using them today just to see how that affects everything. So I'll let you know, but it is interesting. You know, I kind of thought, man, if I don't use these at all yesterday, and then everything's great, and maybe I'll just pack them up and, you know, not even use them when I get into a little bit rougher terrain and kind of see how that goes, and maybe I'll just end up dumping them eventually. But I kind of feel like maybe I won't. Maybe I like having them. Maybe they help me a little more than I thought. So anyway, what else? So I think yesterday when I got my box at the post office, I said that I only need 1 day's worth of stuff because I'd be in Duncannon, Pennsylvania today getting another box. But as I look through everything, if I only do about 15 miles today, that'll put me just really close to Duncannon, but without actually getting into the town. And I think that's what I'm going to do, so I won't actually get into Duncannon until tomorrow now. And I think that's probably a requirement anyway, because, you know, the kind of limited hours the post offices are open these days, Duncannon is way at the end of the day, and I would have to really move it to get there before they close at 5. So I think even if I went all the way into town or a little, you know, tried to get past it, I don't think I'd be able to get to the post office to get my box. So that would kind of put me, you know, anyway, that just requires that I do this. So, so yeah, I guess that's all. I'll just find a place to camp tonight. There aren't any sort of designated campsites or shelters right there before Duncannon, so I'll just find a nice place out in the middle of somewhere, nowhere, and then in the morning I'll get up at just the right time to get into town, maybe 8 or 9 when the post office opens, and then we'll see. I think, as you can tell, I'm maybe getting just a little lazier as this hike is coming closer to an end. And if I'm in Duncannon right around breakfast time, I might have to get breakfast instead of eating my oatmeal egg mix out of a plastic bag. I could have some real food. So there's a really good chance that'll happen. So this is interesting, just walking along the trail, and then there's a U-turn here. This is the first time I've ever seen that. You just literally just walking down the trail right here, and you just turn and go right down 180 degrees and now down here towards the river or the creek or whatever. But anyway, what I was going to show you is this is a, I don't really know exactly what this is, but it's the ATC, the Appalachian Trail Conservancy. I've mentioned a whole bunch of times. But this is a trail work center. So whatever that is, but it kind of looks pretty much shut down like almost everything out here having to do with the AT and the ATC. But anyway, it's like a barn over there, and there are some cars, so there's probably a couple people in there. But I guess it must be where they store supplies, and people come and meet and anyway do work on the AT. So we'll go down and see what this nice beautiful creek looks like. Hello! Well, it's been almost a full day of just hiking down through fields and through a little narrow strip of trail between fields and nice level ground. Half a day yesterday and the first half of the day today, but now I'm back on the real trail, it appears. Climbing up rocks. And it's kind of nice to be back into this environment. The trail's still supposed to be pretty decent for the next short few miles, I think, and then the guide says that it's supposed to be really rocky for the several miles going into Duncannon. So I'm expecting here in a couple hours for it to turn into tons of rocks and just be maybe kind of just big boulders, boulder hopping or something for the rest of the day. And then tomorrow morning heading into Duncannon. So definitely will be different. Somebody looks like they put a decent amount of effort into making this nice little seat, big seat actually, that directs, if you sit on it, directs you right out there. Hey. That's a pretty good reason to make that seat. Nice. Nice. Oh, the AT's coming right through this field. But now I've got a real conundrum, because I'm stuck right here. And in order to actually do the whole AT, I have to walk on this stretch of the AT. I can't go around it, because that would not be pure. So, I think I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to set up my tent and camp here for a few months until someone comes and moves this thing. What do you think? No, forget that. Okay, don't tell anybody I did that. Man, I was hiking along here and I was like, what do I do now? I'm glad the sign told me. Awesome view. Okay, I know I was being a smart aleck about it, but this view really is incredible. I don't know where that is, but I'm thinking maybe that's a river that I'm going to cross when I go into and or leave Duncannon. I can't even remember what the river's called, but I'll tell you about it later when we get there. Time to get back on trail. A few more miles today. Well, everybody talks about the two parts of Pennsylvania. The first part, the south part, where it's just nice and easy and smooth and whatever, and then the second part, which is most of Pennsylvania, which is just rocks, rocks, and rocks. And I think I started the second part. There's rocks everywhere, and I'm expecting it to be like this, and different, you know. Some places, things like this with little gaps, and some just boulder after boulder, but kind of, I think at this point, you know, mostly the rocks just don't end, and so you're just dealing with rocks, kind of mentally having to always pay attention and figure out where you're stepping for most of the rest of the way through Pennsylvania. And the weird thing is that, you know, all along on this trip from the very beginning, I was kind of just assuming that I would be working my way all the way through Pennsylvania, and so, you know, figuring this out along the way. But you know, since I won't be quite making it through Pennsylvania this year, I'll probably have these rocks to deal with for the remainder of my trip, and then next year when I come out to finish the trail, hopefully, this is what I'll be starting with. This kind of terrain, and working my way through it before I get into New Jersey and New York and all the rest of the states north from there. So a little taste of next year. What a beautiful view. Just came out here on Hawks Rock. You can see all the way down to the Susquehanna River. I think that's how you say it anyway. Right down there. It's been running along for a ways. It goes back in there, I think, or whatever. But anyway, it comes across. It goes right there into that reservoir, and that is the town of Duncannon, which, if it wasn't so late, I might try to push onto tonight. But it's not really even that late, but it's late enough that I'm wiped out. Beautiful. Good morning. I stayed tented just short of Duncannon last night, and then came in this morning, got my package, had breakfast at, I think it was called Goodies. It was really, really good. Now I'm hiking over the Susquehanna River, I think, and watching the ducks play out there. And just heading out of Duncannon. Gonna be doing a nice climb up into those mountains, and then once climb up, then the rest of the day will be a fairly level hike most of the way, but I'm expecting tons and tons of rocks and boulders, so for it not to be particularly easy, even though it'll be pretty level. So not 100% sure where everything is, but I guess right over there somewhere is close to where I hiked in. Nice morning. It's very cloudy, so that's blocking the sun a little bit. Hopefully it'll stay that way most of the day. We'll see. Look at how perfect those fields are over there. Came from down there a couple hours ago. Oh, this has turned into a fantastic hiking day. The wind has just continued to pick up. The clouds have continued to stay in place, maybe even thickened up a little. And it's just nice and cool, and it's even becoming less and less humid. And wow, Table Rock view, fantastic. About 3 miles from camp, and the weather's starting to pick up. You probably see the trees and hear the wind. Fingers crossed that it holds out. There's a nice little campsite right there. I could just go ahead and take, but there's no, there hasn't been water for a long time today, so about 2 or 3 miles up there's a spring and a little road crossing, and then I think I'll be able to find some places to camp. So just hoping that it doesn't start pouring until then. It'd be nice to be able to get the tent set up, get inside, and not be all soaking wet. It's been a good day though. Really good day for weather. So Maybe if it holds out, it'll be a perfect weather day. And if not, at least it was nice for 9/10 of the hike. Only a mile or so from the spring, from the water source for tonight, and then camp will be shortly after that. Feeling a few raindrops now, but the weather doesn't seem to look like it's getting worse, so hopefully it won't become a downpour for a while longer.